Shalom. First and foremost, giving all praise, glory, and honor be to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakaha, Kodash. Double honors to the beloved apostles and elders of Great Millstone, better known as GMS, who rule well. Peace and salutations unto the hopeful elect, the tabernacle of David, starting with the 144,000 and the rest of the men, women, and children out of the 12 tribes, whom Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, will ultimately have mercy upon. I'm your brother Montezabath, reporting from the branch of the Great Millstone here in Melbourne, Australia. Back again with part 2 of Esau's blessing equals age of fire and flame. All right. And what you see here on the screen is yesterday's camp session where I tapped into a particular TV show entitled Sandman, outlining season 2, episode 5, dealing with the god of destruction and his brother, the god of dreams. And I'm just going to play about a minute or so of what I'm explaining at camp. And then we're going to jump to the actual cut scene on Netflix. All right. And this is fair use. All right. From copyright section 107. All right. I'm not making any money or profit using this information. All right. But simply just for edification and teaching purposes. All right. So without further ado, let's get into it.
The ones we're going to focus on today is dream and destruction. All right, dream and destruction. Now, that's what it is. The water for the correction, destiny. All right. Now, in season 2, episode 5, the opening scene, there's a scene that takes part in what is it called? Adunel House, 1675 in England during the time of the Renaissance era. And that scene was set up and it was shot between the god of destruction and his brother Dream. And destruction, he invited his brother Dream into this house because he was trying to warn him of humanity, mainly the Edomites. And in the scene, he started with the Greek Empire because he stated that the Greeks, they found the way through science on using atoms, right? But they didn't have the technology, obviously, back then to utilize to make fire and stuff like that. And what he was trying to explain to Dream, his brother, was the fact that he saw towards the end, and he was referencing the time period that we're in today. He actually had the ability. He said that basically, when it came to the blocking out of the sun, he referenced the missiles. He referenced pretty much, without saying it in so many words, thermonuclear destruction. And he said because that no matter what happens with these people, all right, there was no turning them back. In other words, he saw the age of fire and flame. And he said that will be the time also of my end, because he said he was referencing it that when that time comes, the age of fire and flame, that's pretty much it for all of us. And so what he tried to do, when you understand the series, he had to leave his realm, because part of his realm was to provide that destruction. Whatever anybody had in their mind in terms of plotting, scheming, using crafty counsel, or whatever the case may be, to set themselves in the point view of destruction, that's what he was known to do. And he tried to explain to his brother Dream that no matter what humanity does from this point on to the end time, it's inevitable. All right.
Yep. And that's pretty much, it from that standpoint. So what I'm going to do is, let me see here. I have the scene here. All right. This is on Netflix. Once again, this is fair use. All right. And this is season 2, episode 5, which is entitled The Song of Orpheus, which is dealing with Dream's son. But right here on the screen is Dream's older brother, Destruction. And I'm going to let this play out so you can hear the conversation between the two to see where I got the inspiration to speak on this from a prophetic allegory sense, because what Esau likes to do a lot with the the movies and the TV shows and stuff like that is they understand prophecy, all right, to a certain degree, not in this full sense as the prophets, all right, but they watch us beginning with the apostles, the bishops, the elders on down, all right. But remember, they too know their fate. They know the end of what's going to happen to them, and so they like to put some truths into their plays, their TV shows, their movies, or whatever. All right, but then they always try to make it seem like that they would resurface like the rising of the phoenix after the destruction, which that's not going to happen this time. All right, so this is a cut scene to showcase what was said and to show you how they understand that their end, okay, is inevitable. Let's play it.
I've seen this before. After a while, certain ideas, they become inevitable. Such as? That which the Greeks called atomos, the atom, that which is uncuttable, they will find a way to cut. That is how they will destroy each other and themselves.
Yes. But why tell me? It does not affect my realm, and as little to yours that will not change once more. And as you say, you have been here before, many times, and in many worlds.
And for how much longer?
As long as they need us.
Are not light and gross bodies interconvertible? Alas, they are. And from that comes the release of energies that will melt the flesh from their bones and topple their cities and blot out the sun. And then follows my time, brother. The age of fire and flame.
If you look.
You see that right there? So I'm going to take it back because he pretty much said a lot within just a few short words that he used. All right, which if you can understand, and if you're a true man of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, being in this truth, a plethora of precepts should come to your mind, right? So let's take it back one more time.
Jesus.
All right, so you can get the full understanding and breakdown of what he's actually saying to his brother.
That, I've seen this before. After a while, certain ideas, they become inevitable.
Such as?
That which the Greeks called atomos, the atom, that which is uncuttable, they will find a way to cut. That is how they will destroy each other and themselves.
Yes. But why tell me? It does not affect my realm, and as little to yours that will not change once more. And as you say, you have been here before, many times, and in many worlds.
And for how much longer?
As long as they need us.
Are not light and gross bodies interconvertible? Alas, they are. And from that comes the release of energies that will melt the flesh from their bones and topple their cities and blot out the sun. And then follows my time, brother. The age of fire and flame.
All right, and there you have it. All right, so this scene was very heavy. All right, and through the spirit, I wanted to follow it up by part two to let you hear it yourself and show you how the director Neil Gaiman, who also directed American Gods, the what was the other TV show, Good Omens, something to that effect. All right, he seems to be an insider. Okay, within Hollywood and stuff like that, to be giving out such allegories, when it comes to prophetic end times and stuff like that, mixed in with a little bit of Greek mythology and stuff like that, but nevertheless, again, all right, they understand what's at stake here for their rulership. All right, and what I've done is to have a little bit of fun with this. All right, I've actually went and I put it into chat just to see, and I said, what destruction described to his brother Dream about humanity destroying each other through the age of fire and flame has a direct spiritual link to that of Esau, Edom of end time prophecy. And this is what it actually said. It says, yes, destruction speech in the Sandman season 2, episode 5, where he references the age of fire and flame, energies that burn the flesh, topple cities, block out the sun, can be allegorically and spiritually linked to the biblical prophecies concerning Esau, Edom in the end times. So let's break it down how this connection works and show you that even chat can recognize the spiritual discernment pulled from that particular scene. So number one, it says age of fire and flame equals prophetic judgments on Esau, Edom. It says in end time prophecy, Esau, Edom, the descendants of Esau, are often symbolically associated with destruction, war, and fire. And then it gives the precept, Obadiah 1 and 18. And the house of Jacob should be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame, and the house of Esau for stubble, and they shall kindle in them and devour them, and there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau, for the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai have spoken it. It says this verse directly speaks of fire and flame as instruments of judgment against Esau, Edom. It says the age of fire and flame aligns with this final judgment on Esau's lineage and dominion, which proves furthermore that the Edomites are still here today. Okay. And they are currently in power. They're currently in rulership. All right. Even chat can, putting all the resources and database across the whole entire World Wide Web. All right. Is giving you the rundown of what's truly about to happen. Number two, it says Esau's dominion is ruling power of destruction. Esau's blessing from Isaac was one of military power, dominion, and living by the sword, which has been interpreted to represent modern Western empire building and war. And then it gives the precept to back it up, Genesis 27 and 40. And by thy sword shalt thou live and shalt serve thy brother. Destruction in the Sandman could be seen as symbolizing Esau's legacy of violence, war, technological conquest, and destruction through firepower, nuclear, chemical, and environmental. All right, so far chat is on point with this, man. All right, number three, it says blocking out the sun equals environmental and spiritual darkness. All right. It says the idea of blocking out the sun represents both environmental collapse and a symbolic darkness, a loss of divine light or truth, right? Because the scriptures even calls them Lucifer, all right, which when you go into that in Isaiah 14 and 12, it actually means, light bearer, all right, or the illuminated ones, or really it's another figuratively a title for the king of Babylon. Okay, and with them calling themselves the illuminated ones, you have a cult here that they go under by the name of the Illuminati. All right. But see, when those missiles are shot off, the scriptures gives you a prophetic insight on how, those missiles are going to block out the sun. And really, that also takes away from the wisdom and understanding that has been given on Esau. So that's why it talks about symbolic of darkness, right? Because their kingdom is coming to an abrupt end, right? It says a loss of divine light or truth, often associated with Esau's deceit and carnal nature. Once again, spot on. Malachi 1:4. Whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. They shall build, but I will throw down. Modern Edom builds civilizations, industrial cities, empires, but they become polluted, chaotic, and spiritually dark, ultimately provoking divine destruction, right? Because the ultimate thing that's going to set it off, pursuant to Job, the 20th chapter, all right, which let's go there real quick. And the Lord said this, all right, in Job 20, and we'll start at verse 22. It says, in the fullness of his sufficiency, he shall be in straits. Every hand of the wicked shall come upon him. And that's speaking of the labors. It says, verse 23, when he is about to fill his belly, the Most High Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai shall cast the fury of his wrath upon him and shall rain it upon him while he is eating. And this represents the Esau, beginning with the top banking elite families, trying to establish their enterprise, which consists of their new world order, their global reset on the left-hand side, which they will implement the RFID micro C-HIP, which is the mark of the beast. It says, verse 24, he shall flee from the iron weapon, which represents the ICBM missiles, and the bow of steel shall strike him through. You see, it says, verse 25, it is drawn and cometh out of the body. Yea, the glittering sword cometh out of his gall, and terrors are upon him. Because ultimately, as Chat said, the modern day sword today is, the technology that goes into those missiles, you see. And this was Esau's blessing pertaining to Genesis, the 27th chapter. This is how he will live. All right. Verse 26, it says, all darkness shall be hid in his secret places. All right. Because everything is being brought to the light. All right. It says, a fire not blown shall consume him, and it shall go ill with him that is left in his tabernacle. All right. Verse 27, it says, the heaven shall reveal his iniquity, and the earth shall rise up against him. All right. And you starting to see that a little bit now, because there's been reports of a lot of Edomites, dying, in nature, and animals rising up against them. And, now, the people are rising up against them. And remember, Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shah stated in Revelation, the 11th chapter, that he's going to destroy them that destroys the earth. All right. So it makes sense. It says, verse 28, the increase of his house shall depart, and his goods shall flow away in the day of his wrath. Verse 29, this is the portion of a wicked man from power, and the heritage appointed unto him by the Most High. All right. And that's why the Lord said, fret not. Let's get that in Psalms 37. All right. And verse 7. Okay. It says, rest in Yahweh and wait patiently for him, and fret not thyself because of him who prospereth in his way, because of the man who bringeth wicked devices to pass. All right. And that's the thing. Esau, doing all of this AI technology and drones and transhumanism and, his CBDC system and digital dystopian society that he's trying to create. All right. Using pseudoscience. All right. Which is a falsehood. All right. At the end of the day, it's all going to be to no avail. It's all vanity. Right. And so coming back here to chat, it goes on to say, number 4, energies that burn the flesh, which is what destruction mentioned to his brother Dream. It says equals nuclear biological warfare. It says destruction refers to energies that burn flesh. This can spiritually and prophetically connect with the type of judgment and warfare that is said to come through the instruments of Esau's dominion. All right. It says Isaiah 34:5 and 6 concerning Edom, for my sword shall be bathed in heaven. Behold, it shall come down upon Idumea, which is the Greek way of saying Edom. The sword of the Lord is filled with blood. It says the sword burning flesh is not just literal, it's symbolic of end time weapons of mass destruction, nuclear fire, chemical warfare, etc., which Esau's descendants are seen as inventing and using. And the Lord said as well that that's the ultimate plague. When you get Zechariah 14:12, let's read that real quick. It says, and this shall be the plague wherewith Yahweh will smite all the people that have fought against Jerusalem. Their flesh shall consume away while they stand upon their feet, and their eyes shall consume away in their holes, and their tongue shall consume away in their mouth. You see, that's the ultimate plague via thermonuclear destruction. Okay. So once again, chat is, man, hitting it right out of the ballpark on this one. It says number 5, destruction as a spirit linked to Esau's final role. Destruction in the Sandman eventually abandons his role, saying that he no longer wants to be a part of mankind's self-destruction. And this reflects Esau's end time role, being used for judgment, but ultimately being removed, overthrown, or judged by the Most High Yahweh Bashem El Shai. And it gives the precept, 2nd Esdras 6:9 in the Apocrypha, which says, for Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. This reinforces the idea that Esau's fiery age of destruction is the final phase before a new spiritual age, Jacob's reign, begins. And so in summary, it says destruction's poetic speech in the Sandman aligns symbolically and spiritually with the end time judgment on Esau, Edom, as found in biblical prophecy. And then it gives dot points going into fire and flame equals divine judgment on Esau. Violence and war equals Esau's blessing and curse. Blocking the sun equals pollution and spiritual darkness. Burning energies equals modern weapons of war and death. And destruction, stepping away, equals the Most High ending Esau's dominion. All right. And so that right there, you know, again, is a tell-all tale sign dealing with, the Esau's blessing going into the age of fire and flame. All right. And again, we discern things spiritually as the scriptures tells us. Let's get that in 1 Corinthians 2. All right. And I'll start at 12. It says, now we have received not the spirit of the world, but the spirit which is of power, that we might know the things that are freely given unto us. And and one of those things is prophecy. Okay, the Lord has raised up the servants of prophets and has made known to them of his secrets. He revealeth his secrets unto his servants, the prophets. That's why, beginning with the apostles on down, we're able to go into these scriptures to decipher them and to tell you and give you the correct understanding and breakdown of end time prophecy on what's to take place here on the planet Earth. Verse 13, it says, which things also we speak, not in the words which man's wisdom teacheth, right? Because we're not going to come to you on some college degree or seminary school that we had to go and learn how to be a preacher or teacher. No. Okay, we were raised up from the Holy Spirit, the Rakak Kodash, which is the comforter and also the spirit of truth. All right. It says, but which the Holy Spirit teacheth, comparing spiritual things with spiritual. And that's what we've done in part 2 of today's lesson. Okay, we compare spiritual things with spiritualness. We, took a particular scene in a TV show and used spiritual discernment and link it with biblical prophecy of what's going to take place here on the planet Earth. Verse 14, it says, but the natural man receiveth not the things of the spirit of the Most High, right? Because you have people out there that are not given that faith of spiritual discernment to seek out these matters, all right, to have a general understanding of the end times, okay? And that's a lot of our people today. You even got Israelites out there that they don't go as far as deep to understand the things, all right, that are being spoken of according to biblical prophecy. All right. And those particular men, they're natural men. OK, They're carnal. They're not spiritual. It says, for they are foolishness unto him, neither can he know them because they are spiritually discerned. Verse 15, it says, but he that is spiritual judgeth all things, yet he himself is judged of no man. All right. And that's what it is. Okay. A spiritual, man. All right. A man of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, okay, would judge all things. He would discern through the spirit. All right. So, yeah, that pretty much completes the lesson. All right. Of Esau's blessing equals age of fire and flame. All right. And this is an addition of part 2, which I just wanted to do a follow up from yesterday's camp. Lord's will, you were edified. All right. You got some understanding. And from a visual aspect, being able to link all the things that the apostles have been teaching. All right. For many years now. All right. And it's all coming to pass. All right. If those of you who have eyes to see and ears to hear. And so with that, giving all praise, glory and honor be to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakah, Ha, Kodash. Double honors once again to the beloved apostles and elders of Great Millstone, better known as GMS Ruel. Peace and salutations unto the hopeful elect. I'm your brother Matazabath. Abaratazah. This was edifying lesson. Shalom.